Welcome everybody out to sea. Let's keep talking about LSD a little bit. I'm out here in the subtropical forests of Middle Tennessee. It's hot as a firecracker, as my grandfather would say. And so walk with me, talk with me. Let's talk about LSD a little bit. I gotta keep moving. There's ticks, mosquitoes, chiggers, all of that. So I've come to identify some unique side effects when it comes to LSD and drugs in general that aren't really listed, you know, as the standard side effects. And a unique side effect of LSD that I've recognized in myself and others that I want to talk about is vegetarianism. Is vegetarianism a side effect of LSD? LSD use, you know, that perception shift. The history of vegetarianism within humanity is very interesting. Goes back to, you know, like 6th century BC with the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. I believe that's kind of where he was the first to really be advocating for ethical vegetarianism. You know, we get up into like the 1940s, we got like John Kellogg, you know, Kellogg's cereal. You know, it's just garbage cereal now, but you know, he was early American advocate of vegetarianism. But anyways, you know, I've been vegetarian on and off since I was 16 years old. And when I initially went vegetarian when I was 16, it was directly related to what I consider a bad acid trip. You know, I grew up going to co-ops with my mom. I was around the kind of hippie co-op community, but we were also eating Jack in the Box, Taco Bell, trash like that, you know, and vegetarianism was never really on the radar until I started getting involved with LSD cats. So I was going to Nathan Hale High School in Seattle. This is like 10th grade. I meet this cat, Jeremy, came out from Chicago. Interesting character. He liked showing people PETA videos. He'd feed people LSD, take them back to his apartment, and turn on PETA videos of animals being slaughtered. That was his way. He advocated for vegetarianism. So the first vegetarian I met was working with LSD, and this kid is who I met my big connection with. And he showed me some of these PETA videos, and it didn't really stick, you know. I was like, whatever, dog, it's kind of fucked up, you know, like showing people these horrific things on LSD. So I'm living in an apartment with my mom in the Ravenna area of Seattle. I'm with my old buddy Eric, who you know, we were taking a lot of acid together, and it became clear he was legit schizophrenic in his early 20s. Who knows if he was already schizophrenic or it was the acid? Hard to say, right? But we were too high. We're at my mom's house. It's like, time to go. We can't be hanging out here. So we're wandering the streets of Seattle, grilled on LSD. And I mean, we were pretty out there, you know, 2-3 hits of blotter. We somehow end up in a McDonald's. This is off like 25th Ave, you know, by the U Village, outside of the University District in Seattle. We end up in a McDonald's, and we're just grilled out of our minds, wandering around, directionless. End up in line, you got the fluorescent lights exploding. I got all my teeth pulled, it's still hard to talk, bear with me. We order some quarter pounders with cheese, and we get the food. I remember the smell is what struck me right away. It did not smell good. And it's like the yellow wrapper with orange font, you know, double cheeseburger. I open up this cheeseburger, and it's moving, and it looks sickly. And I take a bite out of this thing, and it tasted like death and ammonia. I knew at the deepest level this was a carcass. And the visions I had in my mind were the whole process of cows being born within slaughterhouses and raised for slaughter, and just the horrific conditions, the blood, the shit, the murder, all so I could eat this burger at McDonald's. I nearly vomited. You know, that was the trip, the smell, the taste. I took one bite out of this thing, and we ordered like 2 each, right? Like, we're just grilled out of our minds, sitting in this fluorescent lit McDonald's, envisioning, you know, the slaughter of this cow that we're consuming. So, you know, leading up to this, I had some influence from my buddy Jeremy, who was showing people the PETA videos. We're taking acid together. It didn't really get me at that point. But when I tried to eat that McDonald's double cheeseburger on 2 or 3 hits of acid, that's when I went vegetarian. 16 years old. I was like, all right, done. You know, this is absurd. I never became vegetarian due to any type of health purposes. It was always on ethical grounds. You know, is this necessary? Do I need this to be healthy and survive? And the more I'm taking LSD, we got airplane overhead. Just give it a second. You know, and this is around the time I started becoming very philosophical. You know, I'm getting older. I'm taking all this acid. So I tried eating that McDonald's cheeseburger on LSD. I was like, nope, I'm done. Going vegetarian. I know what my buddy's talking about now. Now, granted, I'm 16. I'm taking acid. I'm into drugs. I don't know anything about nutrition or how to keep myself healthy. You know, I'm going to high school with my drug buddy, Jeremy. We're selling acid, taking acid. We'd go drive to the Wendy's at lunch, and we'd order cheeseburgers minus the beef patty and ask if they could replace it with the French fries. You know, drinking Frosty. So we're eating French fry burgers, you know. Never mind that the fries are deep fried and fat that has animal product, you know. We were too young and naive to understand that. A lot of cheese pizza, a lot of chips, a lot of Doritos, Sun Chips, you know. A lot of quesadillas. My buddy Jeremy, his mom would make what she called nachos, and it was cornflakes microwaved with Velveeta. So we were not healthy, you know, but I just couldn't bring myself to eat the meat, and it was almost like a self-sacrifice. I knew I was unhealthy and getting more unhealthy, but it was like, I'm not going to eat this meat, you know. The more I get involved in the LSD world, start dealing with Cats Off Dead Tour, you know, hippies, deep in the acid game, getting raw L, people that have been printed, taking big doses of LSD. I start dealing with other people who have had similar experiences. They became vegetarian in direct relation to their LSD use. You know, my big acid dealer Rob, who was going down to the Bay Area, who was supplying me when I got popped, he was a vegetarian. His girlfriend was a vegetarian. You know, the Cat Froje Off Dead Tour, who set me up with the DEA, he was a vegetarian. Just about everybody deep in the L game was vegetarian. And this is back in like mid-90s, late 90s. This is before it was hip and cool. It was uncommon. And I ate dinner at my buddy's house often. And, you know, not everybody taking acid had this experience, but I came across a lot who did. And my buddy's mom would comment that, like, Ian, you're kind of green, you're pale, you're skinny, you need some meat. It's like, no, I'm good, you know. You know, there were people around me concerned, like, you look unhealthy, dog. I didn't care. You know, I wasn't willing to kill a creature to nourish myself. So, is vegetarianism a side effect of LSD? Is that possible? I mean, on an anecdotal level, it was for me, and I saw it with a lot of other people. Now, I started eating meat again when I was 18. This is after I got popped by the DEA. You know, the corruption became apparent. And oddly enough, you know, a lot of the people I knew in the acid scene after I got busted started eating meat again. It started off, oh, I'll get some chicken on the Papa John's pizza, you know. And then on the other hand, some of the hippies I knew, they went even deeper. I'm going vegan, raw vegan. You know, I saw some people get really unhealthy, not knowing how to nourish themselves, not knowing how to be a healthy vegetarian or vegan. But my vegetarianism is directly related to that acid trip I had when I tried to eat the McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese, and I could see the cow being slaughtered. I can smell it, I could feel it, I could feel it. I could feel it. And to this day, it sticks with me. I've been vegetarian on and off ever since then. For the most part, I don't eat a lot of meat. For one, most of my fucking teeth are gone at this point. You know, it's difficult, but again, it's not a health thing. It's a moral and ethical thing. Do I need this? Is it necessary? You know, I soak a lot of legumes. You know, I eat a lot of beans, a lot of grains, a lot of vegetables. I got a decent garden going right now. Is it necessary? You know, like I haven't eaten meat in a good couple weeks. You know, I'm vegetarian for the most part. And I only eat meat when I can tell, like, my body really needs it. I try to prepare it myself. You know, I try to brine it. Put as much respect into it as possible. I have never slaughtered an animal myself for food. And if I were to do that, just with my constitution, my temperament, I'm willing to bet I would permanently go vegetarian. I'm a gentle person. I don't want to harm any creature. And that's been my temperament since before the LSD and whatnot, but the LSD amplified that. You know, I've recognized a lot of unique side effects with LSD, and I'll make some more videos going into that. You know, I remember we had some gel tabs come around. The first time we had the gel tabs come around, red, orange, blue, little 1/4-inch dimples, kind of like trapezoids. And there was concern. Is this gelatin vegetarian, bro? Is there beef fat in this gelatin? It's like, oh my God, you know, this LSD that has inspired the vegetarianism. Where's the gelatin from, bro? That was a concern. That was a valid fucking concern, man. So, is vegetarianism a side effect of LSD? Have any of you had this type of experience? I mean, sure. All the cats I was doing acid with and getting acid from came from hippie culture that have absorbed, you know, various Buddhist and Hindu vegetarian, you know, ideologies that advocate for vegetarianism. But for me, in particular, LSD has inspired me to be vegetarian for the most part. And there's been a lot of major food recalls going on recently. Eggs, cheese, beef, greens, all kinds of stuff. You know, it seems like ever since COVID, infrastructure is kind of struggling. Things are struggling. Our food supply is struggling. I don't want to be relying on this garbage from the store. You know, I've been harvesting stuff from this garden I planted. I've been getting carrots, potatoes, already getting some tomatoes, chard, lettuce, fresh vegetables straight from the ground. Man, a lot different from this garbage you're buying in the store. I'm at a place where I want to become as self-sustainable as possible. You know, all the psychedelics I've taken, kind of the point was shift my perspective. Check out of this modern mainstream society. I don't want anything to do with it. And that's been a double-edged sword because I have to live here, right? And as far down the rabbit hole as I've gone, I suppose I always kind of kept a foot in the door of normal society. You know, the ability and willingness to go get a regular job. You know, not just totally go off the deep end and be covered in scabies and patchwork clothing in a van. Which I know plenty of people who have gone that route. And I understand why people check out of society. I really do. But I want to be a part of society. But it's a double-edged sword, you know what I mean? So anyways, something I've been thinking about a lot. And vegetarianism, a side effect of LSD. What do you think? Peace and love, everybody.